So one of the intuitive downloads that I received from the other side with regards to Mr. Trump is that he wouldn't be happy being president. He would miss his old life and not really gain any spiritual fulfillment or fortification out of his new role. Essentially, he would just want his old life back and wanting that control that he used to have and that lifestyle that he used to have when he was in charge of his companies as opposed to our government. So the other side asked me to create this video letting Mr. Trump know that he is currently at a crossroads where he is being called to step down from his position. And in the process, he is actually being tested for self-love by the divine. Does he have this virtue? Does he not have this virtue? Well, they're about to find out. So they asked me to let you know what his two paths are and what he can expect if he, one, steps down from his position, or number two, stays in. So the situation is pretty black and white, which is why they asked me to map it out for you. If he decides to step down, what he will be doing is coming from a place of self-love. He will be taking care of himself. He'll be placing his ego aside and saying, I know I'm disappointing people. I know this is kind of embarrassing. I got here. Now that I got here, I don't really want it. This is kind of embarrassing, but sorry guys. I gotta lead an authentic life and I just gotta be real with everybody and just tell everybody what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling. Maybe this requires some journaling, some meditation, some deep soul searching for him to realize this is what he wants. But Donald Trump will be taking care of Donald Trump. And he will be demonstrating self-love, which is considered the highest virtue because he is a spark of the divine. So by demonstrating self-love, he will also be demonstrating love for the divine since he is part of him, okay? So his decision will be based in self-love, the highest virtue. Now, if he stays in, what happens? He's making a decision based out of ego. He is saying, I want the power, I want the control. I'm not stepping down. Give me a break. I worked really, really hard to get here. I'm staying in this position, okay? So in order to make this decision, he will be ego-based. It will be ego-based. The other side is calling that decision like impure. It's not coming from a pure place because ego doesn't exist on the other side. It's more just wanting the power, worrying about what people think, whatever. So if he does come from a place of self-love, he is embracing his truth. He is saying, okay, this is my truth. I have to embrace it and I have to take steps to address it, okay? Now, if he doesn't embrace his truth, what is he doing? He's embracing falsities. How? Because of the inner dialogue he has in his brain in order to steer him away from truth. Every time that unhappiness in his soul arises, every time he realizes he's unhappy, he's going to turn around. He's going to mentally tell him a story and have this inner dialogue going to try to push that unhappiness down and deny his truth. In the process, what is he aligning himself with? He's aligning himself with falsities. So when you align yourself with the truth and the light, what are you doing? You're aligning yourself with the divine. When you align yourself with falsities in the dark, you end up aligning yourself with the dark side. See, everything's just kind of like Star Wars. So when you align yourself with the truth and the light, guess what? You're on path. Yay! You're on path because his life purpose is to go back and be that businessman and manage his hotels and his golf courses and create jobs for people. That's his life purpose, the entrepreneur there. So he would be going back to his life purpose. So he will be considered on path. Here, no. It is not his life purpose to be president. So here, out of ego, he's considered off path. Higher self. Mr. Trump is a projection of a higher consciousness that resides on the other side. That higher consciousness has the ability to energetically influence him. One of the ways is via emotion. Mr. Trump's higher self has every intention of rewarding him with positive emotion if he reacts out of self-love. and every intention of sending him negative emotion if he comes from a place of ego. Why? Because his higher self cares about him being on path. You're on path, woohoo, positive emotion. Off path, negative emotion. That's how your higher self motivates you. Life force energy. How much energy do you have jumping out of bed in the morning? You think he's going to jump out of bed every day to be president? No, because his higher self doesn't want him to be. There's no energy behind it. It's flat. So what his higher self, because I have the ability to communicate with his higher self, he totally parties with me, we kick it together on the weekends. What his higher self told me, he used the word miserable. He said, I am going to make him miserable. So we're not talking about just a little bit of sadness here. We're talking about really, really, really not liking this. I just want to let you know, it's no different for anybody else, Mr. Trump. Like, I'll get negative emotion if I don't make a YouTube video for a while. They'll make me really, really sad, lifeless. So this is a good motivator. Higher self keeps you on path. Pretty powerful stuff. Universal support, forces of nature. Will you feel like a fish swimming upstream or downstream? Downstream here, you will feel like you are going with the current. Forces of nature will rise up to support you on this path. It will be like a rocky road made smooth, right? Here, nope. You will feel like a fish swimming upstream. Nothing will really go your way. You'll feel it. You'll feel like a fish swimming upstream. Everything has to be a battle. Everything has to be difficult for you. Nothing can be easy. So when you're aligned with forces of nature, you ask for something, it shows up. You reach for something, it's there. Things just kind of work out for you. Now, this one is kind of the clincher. When I channeled what happens here, I was like, yep, makes perfect sense. This is exactly the way the other side works. When it comes to life lessons and soul's growth and someone being tested, just want to let you know this next part, exactly the way the other side works for all of us. Now, Mr. Trump, suppose he comes out of a place of self-love. What did he do? He moved his ego aside. So guess what? The other side is like, bravo, Mr. Trump, bravo. You moved your ego aside, made a pure decision based out of self-love, aligned yourself with the truth, light, universal energies. You've got support. You got your higher self sending you positive emotion. Guess what we're going to do to reward you for all that? We know it's embarrassing to step down. We know you had to swallow your pride and your ego to step down. You disappointed a lot of people. A lot of people were like, what are you doing? Oh, dummy. Right? So what we're going to do is we're going to introduce a plot twist at the end to where your ego ends up being preserved. You're going to end up smelling like roses because we're going to make sure you do. So yeah. It might be a little embarrassing in the beginning, but short-term pain, long-term gain. We're gonna introduce a plot twist in the story that preserves your ego. So you're gonna end up looking like the hero, smelling like roses. You're gonna look awesome. And everyone's gonna be like, that Mr. Trump is the faux shizzle Satanism. Now, if you come from a place of ego, this is the clincher. You come from a place of ego, guess what happens here? Your ego is not preserved. Therein lies the rub. You end up being embarrassed somehow, looking like the bad guy. I don't know, just embarrassment or whatever, where your ego's not preserved. So I'm not 100% sure how this happens. I'm pretty sure we just end up having a second election where you end up going up against Bernie Sanders and then losing so badly to him that it's like embarrassing. Because he ends up winning like a second election by a landslide to where you're just like, what the hell? So if you do end up in this situation, it's because you made an egoic decision that ended up with your ego not being preserved somehow. So those are the two options for you. And basically what you're looking at here, that's why there's the truth and the light and falsities in the dark, because this election's black and white. They're saying that Bernie Sanders is predestined to be our next president and it's his life purpose. So that's his truth, that's his light. He has forces of nature on his side. He has universal support. His higher self is feeding him lots of energy right now. And sending him positive emotion for pursuing that path. So this is the issue, is that because you're going up against Bernie Sanders, who's predestined for this position, you are directly going up against divine intent. So in this scenario, you are aligning yourself with divine intent. In this scenario, you are going up against it. So that's why you're being tested, and that's why your higher self is all over me right now, like white on rice. Because your higher self very, very, very much wants you to choose this option. And so he's saying that he's grateful that I created this video for you. And he's saying, listen to her, Dawn, you're lucky to know this. And the reason your higher self is saying that is because most people make decisions without realizing the alternate realities and without realizing that they're being tested by the divine. So your higher self is actually pretty grateful that I made this video for you in the first place. So I do realize that there's a lot of people that be looking at me like you're a total delusional idiot, but that's why your higher self is basically saying, listen to her, Dawn, you're lucky to know this. Because I'm essentially spelling out for you what's going on and what's happening. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. It's my job to shine a flashlight on people's souls and their personal truths and to help them embrace them, because that's where all the power is. That's where all your personal power is. So it really does feel like if you pursue this truth, you have a red carpet rolled out for you going back to your old life and everything goes pretty smoothly for you. So this road's a little more rocky, with your ego not really being preserved in the end. So Mr. Trump, you have free will. Based on all of this information, I hope that you make a decision that is based in self-love as opposed to ego, because like I said, you'll be aligning yourself with divine intent and showing your self-love and indirectly the divine love in the process, because you are a spark of the divine. And to everyone else watching, take care and be well. Thank you.